Imagine having a personal assistant that's not just smart, but seamlessly integrated into every part of your life. Apple tends to do things quite well, so when they announced their own version of AI, I couldn't wait to see if it could revolutionise my daily workflow and actually boost my productivity. So in this video, I'm going to show you 9 features of Apple Intelligence and reveal whether they're truly useful or just another tech gimmick. So I'm currently using iOS 18.2 Beta 4, and Apple has started rolling out its AI features, so it's given me the chance to explore what it does have to offer. The expectation here is that Apple Intelligence and all its features should be generally available to everyone, and as long as you have a compatible device sometime early in 2025. So let's get stuck into these features to see if Apple Intelligence is truly a productivity game changer. Now this first feature was something I'm particularly interested in because I've tailored all my notifications on my device to reduce distractions and help my productivity. So what do the new notification summaries do and how well do they work? Well, when you get multiple messages from the same app, Apple AI condenses these into a kind of short snippet. It tries to understand the content of each notification and then rewrites a new very short summary. I wouldn't say it's an absolute killer feature, but sometimes it is kind of useful to see what notifications are about at a very quick glance, and sometimes it's not always perfect. There's plenty of examples like this where it's come up with some quirky and amusing summaries. Now, notification summaries are a nice touch, but what about those critical times when you want to eliminate distractions without missing something that's truly important? And this is where priority notifications come in. And it works like this. We have focus modes, which we can use to customize how we want our phones to behave when we're doing certain tasks. And this works well. But even when you do have Do Not Disturb or another focus mode turned on, what if you don't want to miss that all-important notification? Now, when we're in a focus mode, we have the option here in the settings to allow intelligent breakthrough and silencing. The theory here is that the AI will determine which notifications are important and which it will allow through. Now I can see this could be useful if, for example, it's an emergency or something that's time critical that you might otherwise miss. But whilst we're looking at focus modes, Apple also introduced another feature called Reduce Interruptions. So with this, you can, in theory, quickly enable this focus mode and you'll automatically get less notifications. Now I've not had much chance to try this out yet, so if you've had any experience with this new feature, do let me know in the comments below. Does it work? Does it choose the right ones to break through? Now, speaking of notifications, Apple hasn't just focused on your lock screen. They've actually brought similar summaries to one of the most used apps, and that's Apple Mail. Let's see how this upgrade could change the way you manage emails. You see, first in the Mail app, you'll see Apple has added these 4 automatic sorting options for your mail, and they're primary transactions for things like purchases, updates, which will be for things like newsletters, and promotions for other marketing type emails. Now at the moment there isn't any control over how these emails get filtered, so you just have to settle and rely with the way these are done automatically. Another feature being added here as well is priority notifications. So using AI, the Mail app will also put any emails into things that it thinks are higher priority up to the top for your attention. Now you'll also notice here that just like notification summaries, the AI is now also giving summaries to your emails. So instead of seeing the first few lines of an email, you'll get this AI generated summary instead. Now managing emails is one thing, but what about creating them or any other text? Apple's taken quite a bold step with its new writing tools, offering features that could change the way we compose messages. So let's take a look. Firstly, to access these tools on your iPhone or iPad, we can highlight any portion of text and then choose the writing tools from the pop-up menu. On the Mac, you can right-click and choose Writing Tools. Once we've done this, we get this new Writing Tools menu where we can do several things. We can choose to proofread and get recommended changes to spelling and grammar. We can also ask it to rewrite the text. We can ask it to change the tone, and we have options here for friendly, professional or concise. Now these could be useful when you're writing an email and need to adjust how it sounds. Then next we can summarise the text, which gives us the option to copy or replace the new summary. We can get the key points, again with the copy or replace options. Or we can turn it into a list, or even into a table. I can see some of these being useful at times, maybe when composing emails or large volumes of text. Now whilst writing tools are great, what if you don't have time to type? Well, Apple's added a new recording feature that doesn't just capture your voice but makes it smarter, and here's how. So we can now, via the Notes app, make a voice recording by selecting the paperclip and then choosing Record Audio. When we're done with making the recording, we press Done and we can see the recording is inserted here into the note. Here it shows a short summary of the recording, and we can click on this to open it up, where we can see both a link to open a summary and also the auto-generated transcription. We can then tap the 3 dots to add this transcription directly into a note, or we can copy or search it. We can also choose to save out the audio to files or open the share sheet to export it elsewhere. Now here I also notice that when we play the audio, it follows along the transcription, highlighting the words as they're spoken. Now this seems to work pretty well, and it's pretty accurate in the transcripts. I do find it a little odd that Apple has only given these features within the Notes app and not added this directly to the Voice Memo app, which is where you'd kind of expect to go to make your recordings, but maybe we'll get that in future updates perhaps. But talking of recording, there's another feature that means we can now record our phone calls. So when we're on a call, we can hit this here and it'll warn the person you're talking to that you're recording. And then it'll transcribe it too, and it even identifies each speaker. Once we're done, you can find your voice recordings saved into the Notes app. Now we've explored how Apple Intelligence handles voice and text, but what about visuals? With cameras and AI working together, there's quite a lot to unpack here. It's worth noting you do need at least the iPhone 16 or 16 Pro for this one, so let's take a look at the new Visual Intelligence and what this does. So you get to this by long pressing the new camera button, and you get the camera app, but this time you get Ask on the left and Search on the right. Now first with Ask, this lets you point the camera at something, hit Ask, and then you can ask ChatGPT about anything that the camera's pointing at. If you go to Search, it basically does an image search for what it's seeing. Now these aren't particularly groundbreaking new features, and you've been able to do this kind of stuff for a while on Android, but it works pretty seamlessly and so reduces the friction to doing this kind of visual search on your iPhone without having to switch over to another app such as Google's own search. So as well as using ChatGPT to help with image search, ChatGPT is also integrated kind of into your devices. So if we take a look in settings and then go into Apple Intelligence and Siri, and then scroll down here to extensions, we can see ChatGPT. And opening this up, we can enable this to use ChatGPT to help with searches on your phone. Now you don't necessarily need an account with ChatGPT to use this, but if you do have one, you can also sign in right here, allowing you to have your searches saved, use different models and make more searches over the regular limits. You can also choose in the settings here to upgrade to ChatGPT Plus right in the app. Now typically when you use Siri, its searches remain on device or only on Apple servers, but with ChatGPT you can specifically authorise your search to be sent to ChatGPT, just to add an extra security measure before you send that information over. So what does this look like? Well, when we open Siri, either by pressing or holding the side button or double tapping the bottom to open the Type to Siri box, we can make our request as normal. If it thinks it's useful to send the request to ChatGPT, it'll also give us the option to search with ChatGPT, or we can also ask it directly to use ChatGPT for a particular search. Now I do use ChatGPT almost daily, either for brainstorming, sometimes coding assistance, or even sometimes general information searches, so I can see this becoming more useful to use every day. But there's one other thing that I'm also looking forward to with Siri, but as of making this video, it's not yet here to try out, so I'll come back to this in just a moment. Now whilst these productivity tools aren't too bad, Apple Intelligence isn't stopping there. Apple's also been adding some other more fun and creative AI features, so let's take a quick look at these. You can now create your own emojis called Genmojis using AI by describing an emoji, and it'll use generative AI to create that image. When composing a text, we can go to add an emoji, and here we can press this icon to open up Genmoji. We can then describe the Genmoji we want to create, and as we type it, it will begin to generate. Once it's generated the Genmoji, you can swipe up to find a few different variations. We can press these three dots here to copy, share, save to stickers, or we can add to insert the new Genmoji right into our message. Apple's also added a new app called Playground. Now within this app, which is kind of using the same thing as Genmoji, we can describe the image we want to create. Everything it does create is done in a cartoon kind of format, and when we start, we first see a set of suggestions here. We can select a person or various other suggestions, and as we add these, it will begin to generate the image along with a few variations. We can also describe what we want to see, and these will get thrown into the mix as it creates the images. Now whilst it's kind of fun to play with a little at first, I think other than that it's not something that I'll be particularly using that much. But playing with AI generated images might be fun, but Apple has also not forgotten about some practical tools as well. The much talked about Photos app has had a bit of a makeover, and whilst it's had a bit of a mixed reaction, let's look at the AI specific features that are going to become available to use. Now Apple isn't the first to bring this particular feature to our phones, but it does do it quite well, and this is what they call cleanup. And to use this we can go into any photo, select to edit the photo, and then choose this cleanup icon. You can see now that it's giving us a suggestion as to what we might want to remove from the image. So if we want to use that suggestion, we can just tap this glowing bit here, and then there we go, it gets removed. If there's another part of the image we want to clean up, we can instead just tap or circle that bit of the image, and it will instantly remove that for us. Now, from my own testing of this, it seems to work pretty well in most cases, using generative fill from the image to fill in the area that's been removed. So this could be a little more useful for those times maybe when there's just something spoiling what could be that perfect photo. Now, whilst editing photos is great, there's one more feature that hasn't been released. When I first heard about Apple Intelligence, I expected Siri would be getting a major overhaul, expecting maybe finally Siri was going to become more useful for everyday productivity. Well, so far it hasn't. Sure, it's got a nice new glow and ChatGPT integration is pretty neat, but in all honesty, I still find Siri to be a bit useless at times. But in spring 2025, Apple promises a new upgraded Siri that's going to become more context aware. What this means is that Siri will be able to know what you're doing on the device at the time to give you context about what you want to ask. I can see ways that this could become a game changer of how I use my devices. For example, maybe I'll have an email open and I can just ask Siri about that email, or maybe I could just ask Siri to create something related to the email in my calendar. I do hope Apple brings out all the stops on this one, because done well it could be really great, so it's definitely one to watch and look out for in the future. So whilst game-changing AI features might still be in the early days, there's plenty of other tools on your device right now that can also seriously boost your productivity. So in this next video, I'll reveal some must-know features to help you stay organised and make the most of your device today.